Welcome back, guys. I trust you've been staying safe. So, the self confessed gangster Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was in court for the second time on today, the 19th of October 2023. Now, although the court proceedings didn't go as was expected, there has been a development all the same. You can go back to my playlist and see how the court proceedings went. It didn't go as planned. This was going to be the second court proceeding after it was postponed the first time when they met because his attorney wasn't available. But it turns out he still hadn't been able to get an attorney officially, and a seemingly unofficial one stepped in to plead for some 2 weeks so they can get their act together, sort of. So it has been postponed again to the first week of November. But that notwithstanding, this attorney that he retained is talking, and he has said something very critical. What did he say, and how does that affect the trajectory of the case? Now, the attorney that Keefe D retained is called Ross Goodman. Now, according to Ross Goodman, it's very likely that Keefe D, the self-confessed gangster, will plead not guilty in court in relation to the murder charges of Tupac Shakur, despite having admitted several times to being a central player in the activities that led to the killing of this rap icon in September of 1996. Now, I think this is going to be very interesting. Seriously, and I'll get into why I think so. Now, this attorney was retained by Keefe D to represent him at today's arraignment hearing in Las Vegas. So, according to Goodman, it is unclear to him whether he would actually end up representing Davis for any hearings or cases moving forward. For those of you who don't know Goodman, he is the son of Las Vegas Mayor Caroline Goodman, and he confirmed to reporters that he was unsure whether he will represent Dwayne Keefe D after this particular October 19th hearing that he represented him on. But then, irrespective, he went on to confirm that Keefe D intends to plead not guilty in the charges or in the case leveled against him. He went on to also say that even though he has just taken a brief look at the case file, he feels that Dwayne Keefe D may have a defense due to the fact that there is actually no weapon, there is no car, and there are no witnesses. That is very interesting, actually, because there is no weapon, there is no car, and there are no witnesses. I don't know if that car that Tupac and Marion Shoot Knight were in when they got shot is still available as a form of exhibit to this case. It's 1996, over 27 years ago. I don't know if that is still available. I don't know. But then, one sure thing is that there are no witnesses, technically. Although Suge Knight himself is a witness, and Keefe D is a witness, but these are two guys who have vowed, or at least Suge Knight has vowed not to testify. And Keefe D has sort of self-implicated himself in his interviews. So we know he's a witness, but now he is the suspect. And I don't think he's going to turn on himself because he may have learned his lesson from what he has already done, which brought him to court now. So Goodman confirms that Keefe D intends to plead not guilty in this case. And after taking a look, Goodman himself, sees that Keefe D could have a good defense because there's no weapon, there's no car, and there are no witnesses. So, well, let's see how it happens. And today, when Keefe D came to court, he looked somber as he entered the courtroom with the shackled handcuffs, and leg irons, and he was dressed in a blue Clark County Detention Center jumpsuit. He got seated next to 5 other defendants in front of the packed public gallery. Now, Keefe D began exchanging conversations with other defendants and even displayed a sort of grin on his face. I don't know, but I feel this guy is onto something. I feel that maybe he may have had conversations with his legal team. At least we know he's had a conversation with Goodman, and maybe he may have been given some assurances, or he may have been educated on certain things that may work in his favor, and all of a sudden he may be feeling that he has a fighting chance. Because when you look at his disposition at the courtroom, he continued to stare out in the gallery and shift nervously around, feeling the discomfort of his shackles, and then he sat down. But he just settled after that and stared blankly at his lawyer. Now, being from the streets, I know he's trying to not show anything on his posture or on his face that could give somebody a read on him, which could be used as an advantage to press him on something or look into something or whatever. But I think that he's putting up an act. He's not trying to show his hand, but I think he may have an ace up his sleeve, courtesy of legal advice. So now the judge began the hearing, and at this point, Keefe D stood up as Goodman asked for a 2-week arraignment and added, "I am not going to confirm if he will represent the defendant." Now, the judge warned that he needed to secure representation because they need to keep the case going. She also went on to warn him that she would appoint a public defender for him if he could not appoint one himself. So the case hearing in itself barely lasted more than 70 seconds. And the next hearing has been set for the first week in November, specifically the 2nd of November 2023. Now, Goodman himself has acknowledged the fact that this is a high-profile case. The case has played out in over 27 years in the making, and as such, it's a big case, and it's not going to be a case that will just go under the radar. He went on to talk about the fact that he even understands that there are about 600 pages of grand jury transcripts. Yeah, you heard me right. About 600 pages of grand jury transcripts in relation to this case. So you can imagine the amount of evidence and potentially of impeachment evidence that comes along with all these witnesses who are going to come out of all this. But just to recap, Keefe D. Davis was arrested outside his home in the suburban neighborhood of Henderson, Nevada, on the 29th of September, months after investigators executed a search warrant on his property in connection to the 1996 shooting murder of Tupac Shakur. So the drive-by shooting occurred near the Las Vegas Strip on the night of September 7th, 1996, which was just hours after a brawl at the MGM Grand between members and affiliates of two rival Compton street gangs, that's the Crips and obviously, the Bloods. So from this point, a white Cadillac pulled up alongside a car driven by the then CEO of Death Row Records, Suge Knight, with Tupac in the passenger seat, and the people in the Cadillac then opened fire. According to detectives, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was one of the 4 individuals connected to this drive-by shooting, which would escalate into the murder of Tupac Shakur. And to date, Davis is the only suspect in this case who remains alive. This is because his nephew, Orlando Anderson, aka Baby Lane, Terrence, aka Bubble Up Brown, and DeAndre Smith, aka Freaky, all of whom have since died, were the other suspects in the Cadillac with Dwayne Keefe D. Davis. Now, according to investigations, Dwayne has been established as the on-the-ground on-site commander who orchestrated the shooting as payback after Tupac, Suge Knight, and several others assaulted his nephew at the MGM Grand just hours before that fateful shooting incident. So this whole thing is just something that is going to sort of travel the distance, I believe. And I think that this case is going to test the judicial system of the United States of America. This is one of the oldest cold cases I know of. I don't know if there is even older cold cases than this. I suspect there might be. But we will see how this will unravel. Now, an unfazed Davis boasted, I don't give a... Well, I'll censor my language. I don't give an F. I ain't worried about the case. As he sat in the back of a patrol car, Keefe D spoke with a police officer driver who asked, "What they got you for, man?" Davis replied, "Biggest case in Las Vegas history." Now, when asked if it was recent, Keefe D responded that it was as far back as the 7th of September 1996. So you could see that Keefe D has been enjoying the limelight, because since his arrest, sources have revealed that Keefe D Davis is enjoying the limelight of being embroiled in the biggest case in Las Vegas history. I told you that when I look at the face of this guy, I could get a read on him that there's something in it for him. And I'm sure this might be one of the reasons. Because according to sources, Keefe D appears to be ready to become famous and may be looking forward to gaining notoriety with the high-profile court case. One Las Vegas source actually reveals that Keefe D has an extraordinary attitude to this whole case. Obviously, being cuffed and put in protective custody is not ideal, but the attention he's getting from this matter is something he's thriving on. And I agree, because there is definitely a sense that Keefe D is loving the limelight and boasting about his role as a major gangster figure in LA. Whatever happens in court, it is clear that he feels he was free to discuss the murder because of a deal with LAPD that has always been his argument. Another Las Vegas friend actually, who knows Keefe D, added that Keefe D knew that the Metro Police wanted to go after him, and he knew that he would be arrested and charged. But then, somewhere in Keefe D's mind, he believes that he can get free and perhaps sell books about the whole incident and even make a movie about his life. And of course, you can imagine if the movie about your life has an episode or an aspect of it that borders on the circumstances surrounding the life and death of Tupac Amaru Shakur, and the role that you were accused of playing in it and how you beat that case. That would sell, right? Let me know in the comment section. I'm following this case. I'll bring you updates as and when they are due. But let me know, what do you think about this? Do you think that Keefe D is thriving on this case as some people are alleging? Or you think that he's just trying to play a hard nut and a gangster in a situation where he knows he has already lost? Again, how do you think this case is going to play out? Do you think he's going to be found guilty at least on one of the charges? Or you think he's going to beat the case? Because, like Goodman said, there is no weapon, there is no car, and there are no witnesses. If you have any legal angles to this, you can also share in the comment section. I am curious to see how it will play out. And like I said earlier, I think this is going to test the legal system, because I don't know how it will play out if Keefe D really pleads not guilty and there are also all these video evidences of him actually self-implicating himself about what he has been accused of, and he now coming to claim that he is pleading not guilty. How does that play out? Does that even make sense? Or is it that the videos and the YouTube interviews and other things are even going to be admissible in court in the first place? Let me know if you have any idea. But until then, keep your fingers crossed. I'm following the case. I'll bring you updates as and when they are due. Keep an eye out. Stay safe out there. I'll catch you in the next one.